Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing wall climbing. So this is actually some pretty complicated stuff. I am just going to be doing the logic to get like attached to the walls and actually climb. I'm not going to be doing any animations. I would recommend that you guys watch any animation tutorials I have done, like just in the future, or my previous ones, such as like just the animation tips and tricks and so on, in order to understand like how to do the wall climbing, because it's pretty simple to get the animation to go. I will go ahead and demo what I have already, and this is for the Project Europa for Mad GFX. So we already have some wall climbing demos set up. We got this one right here, which is just without any art overlaid. As you can see, we follow the wall like pretty close, and we got a little bit of a camera issue. That's because of there's nothing below me. If there was like a surface below me, it'd be fine. You can't really see this, but if we go over to the other demo that we've set up over here, it looks a lot more interesting. You can see there's ledges that we can grab here. It's pretty easy to attach, and it is also easy to detach like that. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly go over this logic here, and then we're going to go ahead and go start our own scene. Or I'm probably going to end up having this wall ready for you guys to use. I'm probably going to make a cut in the video, but alright, so we have the controller logic right here. There's nothing really special here other than disabling controls. And then we have the wall climb logic, and there's quite a bit in here, as you can see. So this is some pretty old logic right here, and this is just to like climb up onto surfaces. This is like something else, so you don't really have to pay attention to that. So in here we have our jump movement, ledge detection, or just a general ledge detection to see if the one's there, and stuff like that. Then we have our animation controller. As you can see, the animation is pretty complicated, which is why I'm not going to be going over animation in this tutorial. If you know how to do animations, this animation controller is pretty easy to understand. It's just basically seeing if we are attached to a ledge, if we're moving left and right, and if we jump. Ledge attach, this is the bulk of the logic that's complicated that we're going to be doing. And then we have left and right movement, which is actually pretty easy. And then ledge jumping, it's not as complicated as this, but it's still more complicated than moving left and right. So this is what we're going to be doing. If you don't really think you can do this, you can probably find this logic on the Dreamiverse, or the finished tutorial on the Dreamiverse. It might not end up be as advanced as this. The reason why I have it like this complicated is for a few reasons. Is to just have the quality as high as possible, because that's what we're trying to do, and also to prevent like some visual bugs, specifically with this puppet. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss off the video to when we are actually working on it. Alright everybody, so we are in our scene now, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to do is, we have our ledge here. If you don't, you want to make something of similar size or in similar shape, and this is what we want our player to detect in order to actually start wall climbing. So how are we going to do that? Are we going to use a tag? No, because then it's only going to detect when it's on that tag, not this entire model. So how do we get it to detect this model? Well, we can do it a couple ways. So first of all, we want to make sure that our sculpture for our wall climb is named. So go ahead and open up the properties panel and name it to something like ledge. And we also want to give it a label. So go to the labels tab and we'll do machine. So this is to help us find this specific object. Now, we're going to go ahead and open up a player, or scope in with L1 and X. Open up the logic with L1 and X. And we're going to go ahead and make a new microchip in here in logic processing section to store all of our logic in. And just to get this, show this off, this detection, we're going to go to sensors and input. And we're going to get a trigger zone just really quickly so we can do this before we organize anything properly. So we have this zone here, and by default it's going to detect possessed controller sensors, which is technically the player. So we want to actually detect a scene element. So what we're going to do is we're going to detect a scene element, and we want to detect the name ledge. And we want to detect both. Actually, I'm not sure if it is. I think it's a label. Yeah, it's a label. It's a label. We want to detect a label, and then we only want to detect machines. So we are going to untick everything on the labels tab from match mode. And we only want any selected, and we want machines. Only machines. We want both not visible and visible in case, because this, we probably want to make this invisible to the player, because you're probably going to make art around this. So I'm just having it set to both. So if you decide to have art on it, or if we don't have art on it, for example, I'm not going to have any art for this wall. So, and if you probably want not collidable, or yeah, not collidable, I think. We're not going to have this collidable so the player doesn't, like, clip with it, because we're going to move the player with logic to the surface of this. Alright, and then once you have that on the labels section of this trigger zone, we're going to go ahead and change the zone size in a minute here to, or right now, to a cube. And we want this to be where the hands would be, so we probably want to set up that first. That's the only thing we're going to animate, is we're going to animate the pose for hanging onto a ledge. So I'm going to get out a keyframe, and I'm going to put it on this microchip we have here. Keyframes in the animate section, and I'm going to go ahead and put him in a climbing pose. So I'm going to turn on puppet mirror. Hopefully that works. Yes, it does. Okay. And we're just going to make it look like he is grabbing a ledge. Like this. And we're going to bring up his legs here so we get more of a, you know, more of a look that it would be that it's facing the ledge or something like that. Like this. And turn off puppet mirror. Hopefully if I move this now, no? I have to delete that. Okay, that doesn't work. Oh shoot. Well, I guess that's good for now. Doesn't really matter what it looks like if it's just for tutorial. You can adjust it if you want. Alright. So now, when we detect this ledge, we're going to go ahead and turn on this keyframe. And we want to have the trigger zone. Well, actually, we're going to go ahead and turn on this keyframe for now so we can actually see where we want this trigger zone. So this is going to be what actually tells our player to attach themselves to the ledge. So we're going to want to bring up this box from the white point here, and I'm moving it by selecting the trigger zone gadget. And then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to size everything down. So it's a moderate size, but not too large. I'm going to do about 0.5 meter in the Y, and then about 1/4 meter in the Z, and 1 meter in the X. So this should give us plenty of room to detect this ledge. So if we go ahead and put this on the wall, we should be able to jump up and reach that. I'm going to go ahead and hook up this detected output to that. And we don't actually detect it, I think. Well, we are jumping into it. I think it's because we don't have collisions on. Or we have collisions on with it. So we want to turn off collidable on this. Now you can see he gets the animation, but nothing happens. That's because we don't have any real logic hooked up. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that for now, that wire, and I'm going to turn off the keyframe. And what we want is, when we detect a ledge, we want to make sure that we grab on, like, for dear life, and we don't let go unless the player tells us to let go. So we're going to go ahead and get a trigger zone here, or not a trigger zone, but we want to toggle. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a counter from our logic and processing section, and we're going to go ahead and output the ledge detected into the increase count, and this is what is going to turn on all of our logic for detecting a ledge, or not detecting, but attaching to a ledge. So I'm going to attach the counter full output to our keyframe here, and then we want to actually not move. So I'm going to go ahead and get another microchip, and this is going to be for attaching to the ledge. Alright, going to go ahead and open this up, going to node out from our logic and processing section, and that's where we're going to hook up the counter full output. So now we are going to hook up actual logic to attach us to the ledge. So when we are attached, we don't want the player to be affected by outside forces and gravity, so we're going to go ahead and turn that off with a keyframe. So in the animate section, grab a keyframe, place it down, open up the puppet property panels with L1 and square, and we're going to go to the physical properties section, and we're going to turn off movable. And that should allow our puppet to just float in midair. I believe if we just turn this on and then pick them up, yep, they are going to float. If we turn it off, they're going to fall. Right? So I'm going to hook up that counter node into our keyframe here. And now we want to find a way to detect where this is actually, and we're going to move the puppet to this position. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to do it with a raycast or a laser scope, and we're going to use the laser scope so we can actually rotate to the orientation of this ledge as well. So we're going to be facing the wall the whole time. So go ahead and get a laser scope from the sensors and input section of the gadgets menu. And I'm going to go and place this in the upper left corner. And we are going to preview our animation again. That's kind of important. So I'm actually, instead of just turning this on, I'm going to get a switch from our sensors and input section so we can turn it on anytime we want to. Alright, and this is in the totally incorrect position. So we're going to go ahead and move this little ball up. And we want to move it so it's about right here. And we're going to go ahead and get the grid snap, and we're going to move it in the opposite direction. So it's going forward 1.1 meters, that's alright. Okay, and let's see here, we only want to detect our ledges, so we're going to do both in the visibility not collidable, and we want to only detect machines. Unfortunately, they don't have the ability to detect like names, or else this would be a little bit easier. Okay, so now we have our ledge detection, or not detection, but position logic, and we're going to actually want to move this raycast a bit back. We want it to be outside of our ledge trigger zone, so in case we get too close, we actually still detect it. Alright, so this is going to give us our position to attach to, and it's also going to give us our just overall like orientation to match. The orientation is a bit easier, so let's do that first. So we're going to get a look at rotator from our gadgets menu, and we're going to go ahead and open up the properties of this, and the default settings are fine, and we're going to go to the last page, and this is the thing we want, scene space direction. Now, if you look at this laser scope when it's actually hitting something, for example this ledge, you can see this arrow here. That is a scene space direction output, or there is an output for that right here. Hit surface orientation. Now we want this arrow down here to match this hit surface orientation, because as you can see we are completely parallel with the wall, so we want this arrow to match that parallel with this green arrow here. So we're going to go ahead and get our grid snap, and we're going to move this arrow so it's facing the same direction. So otherwise we make it backwards from the puppet. And that should make it so we are able to match the surface of the wall. So when we go over this corner here, it will turn to match the corner. So all we need to do is output this hit surface orientation into this lookout rotator in the third page. And hit surface orientation is on the third page of the laser scope. So hit surface orientation output to the scene space direction. And we want this turned off when we are not attached to a ledge. So just plug in the node input into the lookout rotator's power port. Alright, then next we want to actually move to that position. This is a little bit tricky. So what we actually want is we want to match the we don't want to match left and right. We only want to move forward onto it. So I think I might actually want to, I'm not sure if I'm going to look at my reference that I have, but what you want is basically to move the puppet forward, but you don't want to move it left and right, because if you move it left and right, you're not going to be able to actually move left and right later. So we only want to move up and down with this. So what we have to do is we have to get a follower from our gadgets, the movement and output section. And this follower is what's going to actually follow our Y and guarantee that, you know, we're in that Y position. So we're going to open up our follower, and we're going to go ahead and turn down the strength and dampening and everything except for the Y. And I think follower directional, we're going to do that as well. So now it should only have strength and up and down. And we're going to go ahead and open this up, our laser scope here. And we're going to get the hit position into our follower. The target position, hit position is going to go into target position. There we go. And of course we only want it on when that's on. And then we want it to move forward. So we're on this. But we only want to move forward if we are not close enough to this. So what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and get a tag. And actually we want to move this follower as well. We want to move this little dot here first. So we're going to open up the laser scope property panel. And we're going to open up the follower properties panel. And we want to align this dot with the line of the laser scope. Yeah. So you can grab this thing here. We're going to align it to the grid. And we probably want to shrink the grid until it lines up with our laser scope. And that's pretty close. Not sure why it's not really aligning to the grid. Yeah, because you want it as perfect as possible, unfortunately. Otherwise you're going to get drifting. So it's something that you have to play with a lot in order to get good results. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to do that. Does that look good? I think that's fine. Not sure. I mean, doesn't really matter left and right. It should just matter up and down because I think I'm trying something else. I don't think I'm doing this perfectly, like 1-1 recreation with my my other ledge climbing logic because it is really advanced, including something that we're actually probably gonna have to do here in a second. So it's quite a bit to do, quite a bit to go over. I'm sorry if I'm rushing and you can't really understand. I mean, we don't have much done currently, so I'm not sure. Okay, so next we want to move closer to this when we are not actually attached to it. So what we want to do is we want to get our distance from this ledge, like, which we already have our position here, which is this laser scope. So we want to get the distance from that point. So if we go ahead and move this back a bit, this point right here where the green is, we want to get the distance from this exact point. Like, this is where we want to move to when we are when we're actually attached. So we want to line up a position with that, and we're going to go ahead and measure the distance between that hit point and the position that we have. And you may ask yourself, okay, well, how do I get a position in Dreams? Well, in order to get position data in Dreams, it's pretty easy. You want to go to Sensors Input, and we're going to get a tag. And you don't have to name this tag, because we're just using it for its scene space transform output. And this scene space transform is wherever we put this little dot down here. So we want to align that with this green dot right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here. And what we're going to do basically is we're going to measure the distance. So when it's outside a certain radius, or the distance is too far away, this dot is too far away from this dot, we're going to go ahead and move closer to the position, which is where this green dot is. Alright, that should be close enough. So now we want to get a splitter from our logic and processing section. And this splitter is going to give us the position, because this scene space transform includes other things like, for example, rotation and size. So this is scale, so that would be size, and that's rotation. We don't care about that. We only care about the position. So we want to get the distance between this point and this point. Now this is pretty much any like mathematical equation that you would do in high school, but I know people have put it out in the Dreamverse, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull that in because I don't want to go over algebra or whatever, geometry, whatever it is. Distance. So we want to get distance between two coordinates. That's what we're going to take in here. Or I don't know why he did this. Yeah, no, I'm not going to use this example if he has extra stuff in it. That's not good. Okay, so distance between 2 points. Mr. Oobleck. Mr. Oobleck's a pretty good guy. Yeah, he's got this in the bag. Okay. So we want to get the translation from our tag, and we're going to plug that into location B. And then we want to take the hit position from our laser scope, and that's going to go into position A. And it's going to do a bunch of math and get a number. It's going to give us a number of how far these 2 points are away. I think it may be a, no, it's just a distance. Okay. Vector magnitude, yep. It's just a plain number that it's going to give us. So we want to move to that position when we are not, or when we are not at it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to get a calculator. And we want to say, for example, we're also going to get a slider in here, so this is a bit easier for us to do. So we're going to go to the sensors and input. We're going to get a value slider. And we're going to increase the maximum value to about 6 or something like that. And we're going to plug in the value output of this value slider to B. And we're going to open up this calculator. And we're going to do greater than. And we're going to plug in this input output into A. So this should basically tell us, okay, well, if this number is greater than 0, then we're going to go ahead and move forward. But we want to have some kind of like dead zone, so we don't like shoot past it and then keep moving. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to up this value slider to 0.1, so it's going to stop a little bit prematurely. And we're going to extend this out a bit. And this calculator, what we're going to do is we're going to output to a mover, and this mover is going to move our puppet forward. So we're going to go ahead and output the result output to the forward speed, and we are going to output the input of this node into the power of this mover. And the node is the attached node. Okay, and 5 meters a second, 50% strength, 50% dampening. We're going to do local space, and we're going to turn on the grid. I'm going to bring up this Y up, and we're going to move the arrow forwards. If it'll listen to me. There it is. Okay, now I'm going to turn off the grid. Oop. Okay, so now we should move forward. If this distance is greater than 1 or greater than 0.1, then we're going to move forward. And we want to actually turn up the dampening all the way, so that way when we tell it to stop, we'll actually stop. Okay, now I'm going to move the player back. I'm going to turn off this button or switch, and let's see if we actually attach to the point. Well, as you can see, we're kind of like moving forward. That's what I expected. So we probably want to bring back this laser scope even more. Like behind the head, like this. Let's see how that looks. No. Oh man. See, this stuff is pretty complicated. It takes a little while to develop properly. See, that works. And we can't move the player, which is fine. That's fine. Oh, what's going on now? You can see how difficult stuff like this can be. Which is why I hope you're happy that you guys have me. Okay, come on. Let's just try to see if we can get any usable state. Okay, we're gonna go in edit mode and we're gonna see what's happening right now. Okay, as you can see, I'm not sure why. You know what? I think we're gonna want to turn off the look at rotator, or make it like have no sensitivity to finding things, because I might have been like looking at this tag. I don't know. No, what is happening? It should theoretically just be looking at that. Oh well, it's certainly wobbling on it. Okay. What's going on now? Are we slowly moving down? That might be what's happening. Yep, okay. So what we probably want is, we want to apply this distance for our up and down follower as well. So we're going to go ahead and actually just apply this result into the speed of our follower as well. So now it should only move forward if it finds or if it's greater than a certain distance. So he should really stay still now. Not sure why he's wobbling like that. It's probably because, yeah, our edge detection is detecting that. This little dip right here, it's detecting this. So we might want to increase the detail of this, even though it's already. So one thing we can probably try to do is I'm going to scope into this, and I'm going to go to Tools, Looseness, and I'm going to bring the looseness all the way down, and I'm going to go ahead and paint this on. And if this does nothing, there's actually another way to get less looseness. Is we can go into the shape, we can like just stamp a shape, open up the properties, and you can see it has looseness. We can move it down to no looseness, and then we're going to go to Tools and then the looseness tool again, and then we have that new looseness value, even though it's already at the minimum. And we're just going to spray paint that on. Let's see if that helps at all. Kind of. I mean, we shouldn't be wobbling now. Are we wobbling? No. So yeah, as you can see, we probably want to move this up to the hands position, so we are in the right place, like that. See how that looks? No? Okay, so one thing we can do is we can move our follower here. We can move this up, I believe, and we should get an offset of some kind. No, I didn't want to move the wall. I wanted to move this. How hard is that to understand? Okay. Okay, so we want to move it upwards, maybe? Come on. It's not that hard. Just doohickey here. Oh, I guess that doesn't really matter. Okay, see, this is why that logic is a lot complicated, because I wanted to get it as close as it is, but like this, there's a few things that we can do to fix this issue. We can add more laser scopes for a better definition, or there's a lot of stuff that we could do. Where's our tag at, actually? Yeah, our tag is right there. So maybe if we move this tag up a bit with the laser scope, then we'll get a better result. Like I said, it took me quite a while to actually get this to work. Oh, that worked, okay. To work the way I wanted it to with the actual MagGFX stuff. So now we can actually attach if we're facing the wall directly, which is what I'm saying is we probably want to make more laser scopes, so instead of something like directly in front of you, you'd have on the side. But I feel like you should be able to figure that out on yourself. It's just making duplicates and wiring it up the same way. But you'd only use this one for the distance. It's because once you attach, this should orientate you into the same position, in which case this will actually find the ledge and then apply this logic right here. Okay. So now, what we want to do is we want to make it so we can move, and we want to make it so we can jump, and also detach. So next up is that. It's only been 30 minutes, which is great. We're right on schedule. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to extend this platform out a bit, so we can actually move around and do stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I wanted to do this before the tutorial, but I also wanted to show how to actually make things detectable properly. So unfortunately I had to give up making the scene completely beforehand, so we're going to go ahead and make somewhat similar scene from the video or the other stuff that I showed you for the MagGFX, the other wall climbing. We're going to go ahead and extend this out. Probably want to go to local space. And we're going to go up from here. Maybe some jumping. Make it a little bit harder. Get up here rather than just straight up climb. There we go. And we're also going to do a pretty simple one up here to get started. Right. So now we actually want to get the input of the player. There's a few inputs that we want. We want the left stick and we want the jump button. So we're going to go ahead and go to our gadgets, logic and processing. I'm going to get a couple nodes in here. I'm going to name this microchip finally, wall climb. Gonna make it green. Add the landscape icon. Alright. Then we're gonna do the nodes, control, L stick, and we want jump. Oop. I'm going to go and hook these up. So the left stick is going to go into the left stick node, and the X button is going to go ahead and go into the jump node. I believe if we play now, let's see if we attach even. No, we still have that one glitch. So I want to see what could be causing that first before we go any further here. Like this, right? And why is this happening? I think it's because we're moving too forward. Well, we're moving forward, and our tag and our laser scope, we have this like behind of it. The laser scope's in front, so yeah. So we probably want to find a way to get a negative value from this. So one way we can do that, I think, is if we somehow get a, I'm not sure actually, because that is very annoying. Because I'm kind of making a simplified version. Not really, but I kind of am. So where is our laser scope? And our tag, our laser scope. So hopefully if we move this back, it doesn't do too much damage if we do this. That seems to work. We want to increase this value slider maybe when we do that. You think this would limit the distance required? I think it does. It doesn't look as good as you'd want it, but it does look better than just, you know. I think we can do a couple of things here. We want this to be a different value than our up and down. So we want the maximum value for the maximum distance to be different for forward and backwards than up and down. So we're going to go ahead and make a separate value slider for that. So this is up and down. So we want this to plug in here, and this will plug into that. And we want the up and down distance to be really low, and we want the forward and backwards one to be high. So like this. Oop. Not sure what's happening there. This little edge thing is still giving us issues. Let's see if cranking up the sculpt quality will change that. I don't think so. I don't even think we can increase it from here. Maybe no impasto. It's unfortunate that we have that smooth edge there. I would say we make a filter to filter out that information, but that'd be like way too difficult for this tutorial. What if we make it lower? Or we make the speed for going up and down faster, maybe? That should work. Yes. Well, yes and no. It worked, but didn't work. So we're gonna go ahead and lower our tag and our laser scope a little bit. It goes up now. You don't want to go up. Alright. Increasing that helped. Okay, let's see if we can actually jump on it now. Yes. But, as you can see, we're kind of like stuck in it. Okay. And I'm thinking what we do is we're gonna probably make a negative for this, so if we are like inside of it, we will go backwards. So we'll make a clone of our trigger zone here, and we'll make it like this, and if this is active, then we're gonna go ahead and move backwards. So we'll do that, hook this up to speed. I'm gonna move the arrow to the opposite side, and we're gonna go ahead and have this node here, turn that on. Let's try this. Well, now we're way too far away. What's going on? Oh, of course. Okay. Well, I want to be, let's say, I'm going to move this forward still. Okay. Pause this. That looks good. We're still moving up. Let's try to increase that. Yeah, we're still moving up. So we're going to increase this to 1, decrease this value to 3. Let's try that. There we go. That's better. Let's try a moderate distance away. And now we are just floating down. I'm not sure how that's happening. Probably because our laser scope can't detect it anymore. So what we can do is we can get a NOT gate here. And when we don't detect the ledge anymore, we're just gonna fall off. That will work for now. Okay. Well, you know, it doesn't work because counters suck. I hate that I have to do this, but we're gonna make a loop. Because loops are the only way to get a the input we want. Seizure warning. Are you kidding me? Oh. Oh, yeah. There we go. There we go. Well, now we can't even attach to it. This isn't gonna work, is it? I don't think so. So, I think we're just gonna move on to the next step. No? How about we just make this when it's not detected, we'll reset it for now. Oh man, I hate that noise. I turn off one notification, they get notifications elsewhere, even though I literally turned them off like an hour ago. Okay, well, that fixed your problem for now. So, let's go ahead and let's see here. Does jumping here? Yeah, we want to be able to actually do that. I think it's because we are drifting downwards, so we want to drift upwards. So we want to move this down, I guess. So we're drifting down, and we want to drift up. Okay, well, what if... Get rid of that for now. Yeah, we just still... I don't know why, but moving the tag down made it worse. We want to move it up then? Okay. Okay, delete that. Still moving down. Oh, because I think the tag... Yeah, we don't want to move the tag. We want to move the follower. Yes. I'm going to move this down. Slightly. Do we want to move it up? Why is it... This is just a lot of... You know... Just a lot of issues. Oh, you know what? I think it's because, actually... It's not because of any of this. It's because we aren't detecting the position correctly. So if we go ahead and simulate our trigger zone ledge here, yeah, if we jump up into it, we aren't actually detecting the position. So we want to move this up. So I'm gonna go ahead and move it up with our follower. I wish there was a way to select multiple gizmos, but there isn't. I have to move this all the way up, actually, unless we move this box down. Yeah, we want to move the box down, maybe. Move the box down to where our thing is, then it should work, right? Yes. Okay, there we go. It's not as complicated as the wall climbing system I showed you, because there's less features right now, and that attached logic. So now we're gonna go ahead and do the left and right, because that is the easiest to do next. So we're going to go ahead and get another microchip down. And we're going to do movement icon, and this is just left and right. And let's see here, we want to get the same node system in here. And we also want to get the left stick, so we're going to get that as well. And that should be all we need for nodes. So now we want to get a couple of AND gates here. So in the logic and processing section, go ahead and get AND gate, plop down 2 of them. And we also want a splitter, so we can get the direction to move in. And we want to copy that splitter, I believe, one more time. Actually, yeah, we need to copy it one more time. I'm gonna split left and right to get left and right, or split X to get left and right. And we want this node to plug into our inputs and outputs. Actually, no. This is just going to turn on our power for our movers. Next, we want to get this trigger zone ledge. We're going to copy this over, and we're going to go ahead and turn on our grid. And this is going to help us. So we're going to detect if there's actually ledge on either side of us before we are actually able to move, because we don't want to be able to move off of the ledge this way. So to the left and to the right, so this is going to be our ledge left. So we're going to rename this to LEGDGE left. And we're going to copy this, and this is going to be our ledge right. And we're going to go ahead and move this one to the right. Like that. And now we have our 2 trigger zones to detect if there's ledge to our left and ledge to our right. So the ledge R, we're actually going to flip these because of the splitter. Ledge R is going to go into the top AND gate. Ledge left is going to go into the bottom AND gate. And then our splitter positive is going to go into the top, and then negative is going to go into the bottom. And then this should be pretty simple from here. We're going to get a mover out. And we're going to go ahead and select this. Moving to the right. Yep, that's fine. Top is the right. Results going to go ahead and plug into that. We're going to copy this mover, and we're going to make the arrow go in the opposite direction. And then we're going to go and select both of these. Open up the properties. Actually, I gotta plug in the result from this AND gate. Open up the properties. We want to make it local space. And 100% movement strength. 100% dampening. And then this node here is going to go and plug into both of these movers. So they're only on when we are attached. So go ahead and plug in the counterfull into this node. And now we should be able to move left and right when we are attached. So let's go ahead and try it out. Restart time, turn off that switch. And oh man, it's reversed. Okay. So positive and negative on here. I don't know why, but they're inverted. So we're gonna go ahead and invert this. We're gonna go ahead and invert the splitter. So by switching the positive and negative positions, and we also want to lower the speed down to about, let's say, a meter per second. Let's see if that's not way too fast. Oh no, it's still reversed. Why is it reversed? I think it may be because we lost the direction somehow when we switch to local space. So this one is for the right, correct? Yes, that's not correct. There we go. And now we're gonna go ahead and let's see here. That should work. I'm gonna change the speed down to 1 meter per second. And if you haven't noticed, they added a new feature where you can do L1 and square it to enter the value directly instead of sliding. And I keep forgetting they added it. Yeah, it wasn't reversed. Okay, great. Look at this. Now we can move left and right. Now we just need to be able to jump. I'm not sure why we are not going forward. We should be going forward at this point. Yeah, we're kind of like drifting away from the ledge. I think it's because we aren't like properly aligned to the grid with our arrows here for the mover. Yeah, that is totally off. So go ahead and use precise move and just move. Well, actually, you want to align to grid space, not local space. And then we're gonna go ahead and move this as far as we can to the right. That should align it much better than it was previously. Kind of. I'm not sure. I'm going to do the same thing for the left side. So, now let's see if that's any better. Should be less drift. Okay, but we're not moving past this edge, even though there is ledge there. So let's see what's going on. Ledge left, ledge right. It's because it's not further in enough. So we probably want to extend our Z, I believe, on both of these. So we're gonna go and increase, no, not Z, but X, no, Y. Yeah, Y it is. We're gonna increase Y to 1 instead of what it was previously at. And now we should be going past that. We're not moving close enough to it though, so I think we need to change our sliders in here. I'm gonna lower this down to 1.5. Let's see if that helps at all. Right. We should be moving forward, but we're not. But we did attach to the ledge this time. Oh, there it is. 0.2. That's what we want. Okay. All right. And now we actually go with the wall now. It is a bit clunky. Simply because of the... Not sure what to say. I think it's... Okay. Okay. One thing that we need to do, actually, is we want the direct, like, raw left stick and right stick, because if we were to flip this, I believe it would be reversed. So moving left would actually move us right. I think. Pretty sure it would. Let's actually try it out first, without me just blindly saying it. Okay, let's try this. Going backwards. Yes, it is backwards. Okay, so we want the local stick value instead of the direct camera related version. So we're going to go ahead and delete this wire to our left stick node here, and we're going to open up the controller sensor properties. We're going to go to the third page, and we're going to get left stick local. That's going to give us the raw left stick value. And now we should be able to move left and right properly without worrying about the camera orientation. I think that was giving us a little bit of a slower speed, and it was. Alright. We shouldn't be able to move off like so. we move all the way to the edge of our ledge. Okay. And one thing that is going to be pretty important in the future here, coming up when we jump, is we want this to actually stay on if we're not grounded and we're in the air. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lower this node a bit. And I'm going to get a... Let's see here. I'm going to get a puppet interface from Gameplay Gear. And we want to detect if we're on the ground or not. So we're going to open up the interface, the properties panel with L1 and square on this puppet interface. And I think on the second page, there should be grounded, on ground right here. We want to have this on when you're grounded and we have seen a ledge recently, or we've been attached to a ledge recently. So in order to do this, we're going to get a signal manipulator. And we're going to go ahead and just have smoothing only. And we want smooth fall. And what smooth fall is going to do, it's going to act as a timer for us a little bit. So after about 2.5 seconds, we'll be able to like rotate around when we jump. So we want to plug in our node here into this. Oop. And we want the on-ground output to turn this on and off, because we want it to completely bypass the smoothing, and we just want it to turn off. So now we can go ahead and plug this into... Well, we want this to be a NOT gate, so we need a NOT gate first. So go ahead and get a NOT gate from your guided section, logic and processing. And we're going to output the NOT gate into this power instead. And then the on ground is going to go into the NOT gate. And now this signal manipulator is going to go into our lookat. And we're going to delete the wire coming from the node directly into the lookat rotator. Alright. Now let's see here. I'm going to go and hit play. And it doesn't really do anything right now because we need the jump. We need to get that jumping logic. So what we're first going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do just jumping and not like falling down. We're just going to do jumping first, and we're going to test that out, and then we're going to do falling. So let me go and get out another microchip. And let's see here. What can we do? Well, we want a node for the jump. And then in the future we want the left stick. So I'm just going to copy these over. And I'm going to hook them up. Alright. And now we want something to apply an upwards motion when we want to jump. And we also want to turn off this counter. So we are actually going to just directly plug in this jump node into our reset for the counter. And let's see if that will actually let us fall down for now. Yes, it does. Okay. So that's good information to know. So next we want, let's see here, we want to do a upwards motion force. So what I'm thinking what we do is we go ahead and go to the movers and output section, and we're going to get a force applier. And we want this to apply to the player, and it's going to push us upwards. So I'm using this instead of a mover because I believe this is going to apply a more of a physical force, and we only want it to apply for a second, which is going to give us more of a like arc rather than a direct up motion. So I'm going to use a signal manipulator, and this is going to pulse on input on, which is just the second remapper mode. And we need another input here. We just need another node. And that's going to be our counter full node. And we did an AND gate. And we're going to get the jump input and the node input. And that's going to plug into our signal manipulator. And then our signal manipulator is going to go ahead and plug into our force applier. And then we're going to open up our force applier, the properties panel. And we want this to be a directional force type. And we want that arrow to be pointing up because we want our player to jump upwards. And let's do 50% at 10 meters a second. And we want to do a cube, and it's just gonna be where a player is, pretty small. And we're gonna do, we only want to detect friends, because our player is gonna be our friend. And we don't want to apply physical forces to anything else in the scene that's nearby. So we're gonna go ahead and open up the Puppets Properties panel, open up the labels, and we're gonna label as friend if you haven't done so already in previous tutorials. And now, I believe we should be able to jump upwards. Pretty simple compared to what I previously had. No, it's not working. Okay, what is happening? I believe it might be resetting before it can even... I believe it's resetting before it can even, get this jump signal in here. So this turns off even though this signal comes through at the same time. So this is activating a frame before this is, so then this doesn't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to do output smoothing. We're going to make another signal manipulator here. We're going to do output smoothing, and we only want to get like a 0.1 second smooth fall. And that's going to go ahead and plug into our signal for our signal manipulator. And then this is going to go into our AND gate. Let's try that. No, does not work. Why is it not working? I wonder. I'm going to go in test mode, unlock the camera. Well, it's working when it shouldn't. Maybe because we need to have it. We need to have a calculator to say, hey, this signal is greater than 0, so you should do it. So we're going to get a calculator out from our logic and processing section, open up the properties of it. We're going to do greater than, and we're going to plug in the AND gate into A. So this is basically saying if this AND gate is greater than 0, because this is 0 right here, then we're good to go. And this is going to go ahead and plug into our signal manipulator. Now let's try it. Still nothing. Why is it nothing? Is it just not on for long enough? Yes, it's not on for long enough. So we're going to go ahead and open up our signal manipulator properties for the pulse, and we're going to do smooth fall of 0.4 seconds. Let's try that. Maybe it's not strong enough. Let's do 100% force strength, and we'll do 0.5 second smooth fall. Hey, that kind of works. So we'll do 2.6 second smooth fall. There we go. It's a bit too long, so we're gonna do a, let's say, 1.5 seconds. There we go. Okay, cool. Now there's one last thing that we need, and that is to just add another AND gate here. Not AND gate, but input to the AND gate. And then I think we'll be done with a pretty basic version of wall climbing. Again, it would need animations and stuff like that. some additional laser scopes, like kind of like a whisker approach. So if you're like coming at it at an angle, you'd be able to grab on properly and stuff like that. So if you are interested in that, I think I'm going to be publishing my full wall climb logic, so including this version. So if you're interested in that, I'd suggest taking a look at that. So one last thing that we need to do is dropping to the previous ledge. So we're going to go ahead and split our left stick here. And we want to get the left. And we're going to go ahead and do another splitter. And we want to make sure that we're not going down. So we're going to get the negative, and we're going to plug that into a NOT gate. And our NOT gate is going to plug into our AND gate. So now when we're holding down on our stick, we're going to drop instead of jumping. No, that did not appear to work. Okay, why is that not working? Okay. Okay. Okay, because it's reversed, that's why. I hate that Meeting Molecule thinks that up is down and down is up on your stick, because that totally makes sense, because this is totally a... this is totally a flight simulator and not a game development engine. Oh god. Okay, so a little bit of an issue is we are moving backwards when we push down. So you'd probably want to... I'm not sure how you would fix this properly. Maybe if we increase the dampening when we are going down. So if we increase dampening in this direction. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and go to gadgets, movers and output. We're gonna get a mover. Open up the properties of this, and we want this to be local space. And we're gonna get grid snap, and this is gonna move. The arrow is gonna go backwards. And we're gonna turn up dampening 100%. Move strength 0%, forward speed 0%. Dampening is gonna be mover direction dampening. And 0% in everything else. And let's see if this mover direction dampening actually does something. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this on when we're holding down the negative, and we are... So yeah, when we're holding down on the stick, and this is on. So I think what we're gonna do, I'm not sure. We might want to make a copy of this, I'm thinking. And instead of doing that, this is gonna go into, not that, but it's gonna turn it on. And then input for this is positive, and jumping, and then what else? This as well. There we go. Well, let's try that. Let's see if this works at all. I'm not sure if it will, because I don't think the follow direction dampening actually does anything. But I could be wrong. Yeah, it doesn't appear to do anything. Let's see here. Oh. I think an issue with this is in the attach logic here. It doesn't actually know what to turn to. So we're gonna extend this a little bit by making a bypass switch here. It's not going to be too difficult. I'm going to make a copy of this signal manipulator. We're going to plug the hit surface orientation into it. Then we're going to plug that into the scene space direction. We're going to delete this. And then we're going to open this up. And we're going to go ahead and smooth fall at 0. And we want to make sure to have this. We want this freezing to do something now. So when this is on, we want this to freeze. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a calculator. We're going to copy this calculator here. And it's basically when this is greater than 0, we are going to freeze. And by that I mean when this is powered on, we're gonna freeze, I believe. No, that's not. We don't want that. We don't want that. Shoot. Okay. What we want is we want to freeze when we are not on the ground and we are not attached to a ledge. And that's going to freeze our signal manipulator. Hopefully that does help a little bit. Not sure why this exists. Mover direction damps movement in the direction the affected object is moving. You would think that this would slow down the player from going backwards, but it doesn't appear to be doing that. But we do face the wall properly still. We do face the wall properly now, which is good. What are we doing? Can't even remember what we're doing now. I think we're trying to get the fall logic to work properly, because it does work. It's just if we try to fall, or you know what? I think what I'm gonna do for the jump, because it appears our jump is like happening no matter what, is I'm gonna make it so our jump is only turned on when we are pushing up on the stick. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that output and apply it to our AND gate. Yeah, we're still moving in that direction, even though I'm telling the dampener to dampen it. So let's see. I think if we dampen the X as well, that should help. Because X is this way. So let's see if that works. No, it does not. Why is it not helping at all? Is it because it's not turning on? Maybe? How long does this signal manipulator last? 1.5 seconds? I think we have it reversed. We want it to turn on constant. We want it to be a constant signal. This is greater than 0. Well, I guess that works if we just have the jumping, but if we move down, we still have that issue. So at least we can get up here. I think we can actually get up to our our harder one to get up to. Let's try that. Shoot. Ah, I got actual gameplay now. Don't jump high enough to reach that, so let's go ahead and fix that. Oh, nope. Bring this back a bit. I think I'll close this actually. Oh shoot, I fell. Forgot that jump X just completely makes you drop. Oh shoot, why is that happening? Shouldn't be connecting to anything there. Maybe it's because our thing is a little bit out of whack, I guess. Yeah, we're just barely hitting that one on top. We're still able to make it though. Oh shoot. Yeah, should. I want to make it up there before I end off this tutorial, because I want to show that it's possible. I think if we redesign this a little bit, we might get better results like this. This is still challenging, right? Oh shoot, that's not close enough now. I mean, game design is all about iterations, so iterations on your work. Oh shoot, now I'm over jumping it. Oh shoot. Yeah. So, in order to get stuff just right, you want to keep playing with it, keep adding to it. You want to diagnose the problems on your own. Again, it took me like a few days in order to get the logic just right for that specific puppet that we had. So you will probably want to end up doing the same thing. Hey, I got up here. So learning how to do stuff on your own is particularly very important for Dreams. So hopefully my tutorials you aren't just watching to get the logic from, because if you wanted just the logic, you can get that from the Dreamverse. Hopefully you're learning something from watching these tutorial videos and how to work with Dreams logic and how you could improve this. In fact, hopefully you guys can improve on this logic, and if you do, you can send it to me in the Dreamverse, and I'll give a thumbs up, maybe even put it on my Twitter or something like that. Give you a shout out or something. So I hope to see you all in Dreamverse again. Like, comment, and subscribe. Also, I have a Patreon now, if you haven't noticed, and we got a private server for that. I can help you out. In fact, I can help you improve this logic here if you go ahead and get in that Discord server. If you need help with any other Dreams project, you can also get help from that in there. So, yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, everybody. Bye.